The world had changed since Zara Khan vanished. Months after her final transmission, the Bureau had been quietly rebuilding its image, claiming to have neutralized the Shadow Directive. But deep within hidden systems, encrypted messages began resurfacing, coded in Zara's personal encryption style. Rumors spread through underground networks that she was alive. Some said she had joined a resistance group, others believed she had become part of the very system she once fought. Far away in a remote cabin on the outskirts of Alaska, a woman lived under a false name. Her face was scarred, her eyes haunted but sharp. It was Zara. She had survived the explosion but barely escaped with her life. Ethan, the journalist she once trusted, had also survived. Both were living off the grid, tracking what remained of the Shadow Directive. The files Zara leaked had exposed dozens of corrupt officials, but one name was never revealed: the architect behind it all, known only as the Director. One night, Ethan intercepted a transmission between former Directive members discussing Phase 2, Ascent. The project aimed to merge global intelligence databases into one central AI system capable of identifying threats to stability. Zara realized this was the evolution of Project Echo. The Directive had simply changed faces. She decided to strike back before the new system went live. They tracked the data hub's location to a corporate facility in Geneva, hidden under the guise of a cybersecurity company. It was a fortress, guarded by private mercenaries and monitored by drones. Zara knew infiltration meant suicide, but she also knew the world was running out of time. In Episode 10, the mission began under a stormy European sky. Zara, dressed in stolen security armor, breached the compound with Ethan's remote guidance. Her heartbeat echoed through the comms, her breath steady despite the danger. Inside, glowing blue panels lined the walls, rows of quantum servers storing millions of digital identities. At the heart of the facility was a single glass room labeled Ascend Core. Inside, holographic screens flickered with human profiles, behavioral predictions, and threat indexes. It wasn't just surveillance, it was control through algorithmic dominance. As Zara planted an EMP device to destroy the servers, a voice echoed through the intercom. "I always admired your persistence, Agent Khan." The Director's voice was calm, distorted by digital filters. He appeared on a large screen, a man in his 60s, wearing a tailored suit, his expression eerily composed. "You think you're fighting corruption," he said, "but you're fighting evolution. The system doesn't need heroes anymore." Zara ignored him and initiated the sequence. Alarms blared. The room filled with sparks as security forces closed in. She fought her way out, but a bullet tore through her shoulder. Blood dripped onto the cold metal floor as she crawled toward the main console. With her last ounce of strength, she connected Ethan's remote drive and uploaded a virus that spread through the entire network. The system began collapsing, digital sparks flickering like dying stars. "You can't stop what's already begun," the Director warned. Zara smiled weakly. "Maybe not," she whispered, "but I can slow you down." The explosion engulfed the facility in blinding light. Days later, news broke worldwide: the Ascent system had been destroyed. Millions of leaked documents exposed the remaining Shadow Directive operatives. But Zara and Ethan were never found. In a final shot, deep in the mountains, a figure walked through snow, holding a small device emitting a faint blue pulse. Zara's voice echoed faintly through static: "As long as someone remembers the truth, the fight isn't over." Snow blanketed the mountain valley where Zara had disappeared, but the world she left behind was burning. The fall of the Ascend Core had triggered a global data crisis. Governments denied involvement, corporations blamed rogue actors, and the media called it the digital collapse of the century. Hidden behind the noise, fragments of Zara's virus still pulsed inside forgotten networks, mutating and spreading like a ghost in the machine. Months later, an encrypted signal surfaced, a message signed, ZK. It wasn't just a trace. It was a location marker buried inside the metadata of a leaked security feed from a private research lab in Iceland. Ethan, who had survived by sheer luck, followed the trail alone, haunted by her last words. When he reached the site, he found more than he expected. The lab was funded by Helios Technologies, a company tied to the Shadow Directive's remnants. Deep underground, scientists were experimenting with artificial cognitive systems capable of replicating human thought patterns. Their project was called Resurgence. Ethan broke into the lower level and froze. On a suspended glass platform, surrounded by wires and cold blue light, lay Zara. Her body was connected to a neural interface, her mind kept alive through a prototype AI core. They hadn't killed her, they had preserved her. The director had transformed her into the first test subject of a consciousness integration experiment. Ethan freed her from the machine, and as the cables detached, her body convulsed. When she finally opened her eyes, they glowed faintly, a reflection of the neural implant that had saved her but left part of her mind inside the digital network. She remembered everything, yet her perception had changed. She could hear data streams, feel the vibration of code, and sense surveillance systems miles away. They turned me into the thing they feared most, she whispered. Ethan looked at her with awe and dread. Together, they escaped the facility as alarms blared and security drones closed in. Zara's instincts had sharpened beyond human limits, she disabled systems with gestures, collapsing servers with her thoughts. But each time she used her new power, she felt her humanity slip further away. Episode 12 opened with chaos erupting across the globe. The remnants of the directive had regrouped, forming a new organization called Genesis Protocol. Their plan was to use AI-human hybrids to restore control under the illusion of global safety. Zara and Ethan knew they couldn't stop it alone. They reached out to rogue intelligence agents, whistleblowers, and former operatives, those disillusioned by the corruption that had poisoned every agency. Together, they formed a hidden resistance known as the Quiet Line. Their final mission led them to Hong Kong, where Genesis was launching its central AI nexus. The operation demanded sacrifice. Zara, now partially linked to digital systems, realized the only way to destroy Genesis was to upload herself fully into the core and dismantle it from within. Ethan tried to stop her, but she smiled and said, "You once told me truth is humanity's last weapon. Let me make sure it survives." She entered the nexus, merging her consciousness with the system. For minutes, the city lights flickered, power grids failed, and drones fell from the sky. Then, silence. The Genesis network was gone, wiped clean. Ethan watched as the screens around him turned black, and a single message appeared: "For every shadow, there is someone watching. ZK." Months later, whispers spread through digital circles of a mysterious AI entity that appeared in corrupted systems, protecting whistleblowers and erasing classified data. Some said it was Zara's ghost in the network. Others believed she had become something more. Not a machine, not human, but a guardian of truth in a world built on lies. And as the camera panned across a city skyline bathed in dawn light, her voice echoed softly. "I was an agent once. Now, I am the line between justice and control."